I was afraid because he just shot my
I hear the
dog.
rocks pounding on the side of the shop, and I come out the front door and see Dwayne standing at the fence line throwing the rocks.
Pay for chickens if your dog didn't.
In today's case, two feuding neighbors square off over chickens, solar panels, and one very unlucky dog. They're clashing stories, a scrambled mess that just might explain the national egg crisis. Watch closely, because when the judge checks the police report, everything changes.
Everybody come on mute for me. Let's see, Catherine Lambert, is that you, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And then do I have Christopher Benson at the top there, right there? And then Nina Benson? Okay. Why don't you, I need you to unmute there for me.
There we go.
There we go. And just so I understand, it's got a Milford address, but is it Thetford? Is that how we ended up here with both properties?
Millington.
I'm sorry? I'm sorry,
Milford?
I say Milford, I'm sorry. Millington, but it's actually a Thetford
Yes, sir.
for everybody. Ms. Lambert?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, but I know there's been some friction between the parties. Have you talked recently at all?
No.
No? Okay,
I sent him a certified letter on Halloween.
okay. They give you a chance to talk civilly. Can you talk civilly between the, I guess, the four of you? They give
I
you,
don't
We
think
could talk
so.
civilly.
I'm sorry? Do you want to try to get things resolved before we have a hearing?
There's nothing in the claim that can be resolved. It's
Just want
nothing
to
to do with,
proceed?
there's nothing to do
We
with
can
us.
proceed.
Okay. And Ms. Lambert, who's with you there?
This is Joseph Schultz.
Okay, I saw his name in some of the paperwork as well.
Yep. And my son Riley is here as well. He was also a partial witness to some of the events.
Okay, I guess it's really, your complaint is really kind of like, yeah, it's multiple issues, but two, I'm gonna call it two separate issues. First, there was some damage to chickens. You lost some chickens during what you're alleging is their dog came over and killed some chickens. Let's just start there first.
Yes.
Gosh, I thought I saw an amount. How many, you asked for $100 for chickens, which you said at one point they agreed to. How many chickens got killed?
There was 10 chickens.
10 chickens?
Yep. And there was a police report filed.
Yeah, I saw that, but I'm not gonna use a police report, okay? Unless you got a police officer here that's gonna testify.
No.
No? Okay. How did you come up with $100? Just so I know where that came from.
Well, I looked at between what I pay for feed and what I pay for chicks, and then what pullets are now, which is actually closer to over $35, and those are not laying hens. I use laying hens, so $10 for a laying chicken is pretty much what you can find like on Marketplace.
Okay,
In the summertime, not in the winter. I couldn't really find any examples in the winter other than ordering pullets, which are only 4 to 5 months old and not laying yet.
okay. So in the $100, apparently at one point was discussed with your neighbors there, with the Bensons. Is that true?
There wasn't a dollar
The
amount. He said he would compensate for the chickens, but he did not.
Okay, Mr. Benson, is that true for the chickens?
Sorry about that. What was that?
Were you, at one point, were you just agreeable to pay for the chickens?
The day that he found his chickens were dead, he revved his engine up my driveway and intimidated me.
I don't want to, no, just answer the question.
I did tell him that I would buy chickens for him.
Okay,
And then he said they had names and he started screaming profanities.
okay.
We never agreed that our dog
I'm sorry?
even killed the, we never agreed that our dog actually killed the chickens.
So why, sir, would you pay for chickens if your dog didn't damage chickens?
Because he spun his tires up the driveway and was yelling at us, and I didn't want a confrontation.
I see. What kind of dog do you have?
He's a husky.
Husky?
Yeah.
What, just describe
they're chicken coop.
what colors a husky?
Black and white.
Black and white.
Black and white, okay.
Yeah. He kind of looks like a coyote.
Not,
little
Okay.
bit.
not the only one in the neighborhood.
Has he been across in the neighbor's yard? I'm talking about the Lambert's property.
I've never seen her over there, sir.
No? If you had
The
any,
only time she was over there, sir, was the day that, that Joe shot our dog in the face. That's the only time we know that our dog was over there, sir.
so the dog was over there at that point?
That was months, that was
I
just
don't-
last year, yes, sir.
There's one incident the dog was over there. True?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it was reported with the police, and that was the day that Joe shot the dog in the face
Okay,
for being on his property by the bus.
hold on. Miss Lambert, the incident that you're talking about, that the chickens got killed, how do you know it was their husky that was involved? How do you know that?
The dog had blood on it when the police officer went over there that briefly went out. It's in our yard. It was in our yard over the last 2 years.
Did you see the,
multiple times?
okay, this is just what you observed. Did you see the dog?
Did you see the dog killing the chickens?
Yeah, I'm the one that chased it out of the coop.
Okay, I'm sorry. So what's your name? I'm sorry, it's Schultz,
My
right?
name's Joseph Schultz.
Joseph.
I chased it out of the chicken run. It was in the chicken run when I went out there.
When was that? Tell me like a time period.
23 June.
No, I can't give you codes and
Probably over a year ago, it had to been.
is this the
I've been
incident
dealing with
that,
this for a while, and there's different instances, so I don't have the exact dates. I know it's right on that police report. It tells the
yeah, I'm
exact
not
date.
gonna look at a police report though, unless we get an officer. here. So
Oh, okay.
the date that you're talking about though, were their chickens destroyed or dead on the?
Yeah, they were all killed, and their dog was in the run. And then when the police officer went to their house, he seen the blood all over the
Yeah.
dog's mouth. And
Don't tell me what, you can't tell me what he saw, but you saw the dog in your property,
chicken coop, yes,
in the chicken.
because we were letting them free range at the time, so we had their run wide open, so they could go out into the yard and into the field.
Okay. How many chickens did you see dead?
I don't know, like 6 right there. I could just see all close to the front of the chicken coop, just like the pictures that are there. They're close to being dead right there where they're laying.
Okay. And who took the picture? Actually, I did see pictures. Who took the
I
picture?
think her and I both did when the officer was here too, and he's seen them, but he's not gonna testify for us. But yes, we took the picture.
That you guys took, Miss Lambert, is that true? Both of you took pictures? Is that where the
Yes.
picture?
Was it me or was it you? I don't remember.
Yes, we both took pictures. There was 2 others that were injured and then one that was missing, it had spooked and went out in the woods, and we found that one a little while later further away that was mangled, and then the other 2 that were injured passed away as well.
Okay,
For
so
a total,
how many,
10 total,
10 total that died?
yes.
Okay. With regard to, we had the chicken incident, and for Mr. Benson or Ms. Benson, anything you want to tell me with regard to that part of the incident? Anything else with that?
Yes, I grew up raising chickens at my parents' house, and
Okay.
I raised chickens myself. And I also took care of my neighbor's chickens across the road.
Okay,
And periodically, they get attacked by wild animals. And where their chickens are living is right next to the forest. So I would assume it's likely a wild animal got one of them. If he did see my dog over there, I would say she was probably following some rotting flesh smell that she smelled, because she's been around chickens and she hasn't been aggressive with chickens at all. I would imagine she was just checking it out in the morning
She
after
did-
a raccoon or a coyote.
He never had blood on her face. That never happened, so we do not agree with that.
okay. Mr. Schultz, the incident, what time of day was it when you went out to the coop, I guess? When were you out there?
I think it was like in like mid-afternoon, say, like probably I'd say like 3 o'clock or something. I don't remember the exact time.
Okay,
I
What-
guess I should have had my paperwork in front of me so I know what the ledger of the.
that's okay. I'd rather just have you do it from memory. So when you saw their husky, and are you familiar with their husky, or is this the first time you saw
Yeah,
it?
it comes in the yard all the time.
It's been over in your yard before this incident?
Yes.
Okay,
Even at our front yard, front door, comes in our yard all the time. They just refuse to put the dog on a chain or have it fenced in, you know, it
What-
just
what-
roams.
just curiosity, when you were back at that coop, when you,
Yep.
in the husky was back there? Did the husky go back to his or her property?
It did after I chased it. I had to spook it out of the chicken run and then it ran towards its house.
And when you say at the chicken run, how close was it to the coop, I guess? What is it?
We have like 3 sections of 10 foot each section. That's 30 feet of chicken run that's hooked to the coop.
Okay,
And the gate for the run was open so they could go back inside because they're free ranging in the field and in the thicket right there. So they could just go in when it's time to go in.
and was the dog actually up on the run or just close to it?
It was in the run.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
And I seen the dead chickens laying in front of the coop, the
Yeah.
other ones that he already killed.
How about, Miss Lambert, let's talk about the main incident, I guess, the solar panels. Ms. Lambert, most of this is on your complaint. Did you witness any of it at all with the solar panel damage?
I had just come home from work and I had heard music over there, so I knew that they were outside, but I had just come in. So
Okay,
my version,
hold on, I gotta, when you say they, who's they?
the neighbors and their family. I can't see who was all over there, so I just know it was their family.
Benson's property, or I'm not sure in this.
At the Benson's property, yes.
Okay, all right. When was this date about? Can you give me a date, time period?
It was May of this year.
May of this year? Okay.
And I had to be.
Of last year, of 2024?
Yes.
Up until that point, were the solar panels working appropriately?
Yes, I have an app. I had them installed in 2020.
Okay.
I actually refinanced my home to put them in, and at that time, it was a company from Ohio that put them in, and I have an app that shows me their daily production, shows me the grid. I can look minute by minute if I want to at their production. I typically don't, because that would, be silly, but I can kind of look and see what they do weekly or monthly. As far as that goes. So I usually watch it on my phone occasionally just to check it.
Okay, so when did, I guess, help me out a little bit, because you can't really see up on the roof, it sounds like, is that?
No, the pole barn's it's really tall. And so when that incident occurred, like I said, I got home, I could hear that they were outside. Shortly after I got home, I worked 12 hours at the hospital. So I get home around 8:30 is usually around the time I get home. And I could hear them outside. I went in the house, started putting my lunch bag and that away. And then Joe came through the back door and he said, their dog was just trying to get into our coop again. I just chased it out. And then it just went after me and I shot it. And I was like, oh, here we go. Cause we were going to go to dinner. And so he went back outside, and then he came back in again shortly thereafter and said they're yelling and screaming and throwing rocks at our solar panels because the dog went back over their house. It went like yipping back over their house.
Okay.
So
let's stop.
My version was a play-by-play, basically.
Yeah, okay. So you didn't really see any of the,
I did not see. I could hear through the walls. I could hear some yelling, but I did not directly go out there.
okay.
Most of that is from Joseph, and I think Riley seen some.
Okay, so when was I guess help me out with the app that you look at? Was there any time that you looked at that app during this, I guess, recent time period right after the incident?
Well, Not right away after the incident, I had my own dog started foaming at the mouth after he went outside and went into seizures, and we'd had that dog for a long period of time, so I was pretty distraught over that. So that first week I did not. Probably into the second and third week is when I looked at the app and seeing that the production was down.
How far down was it compared to what it normally would be? Like, can you give me a range? Like,
As far as, I mean, it would be it shows them like in kilowatts, you know.
yeah,
So there was a couple panels. The panels, when their production is really good, they're like a lighter green, and when it's bad, they're a darker green. You can see them all just be dark green or black even at night when the sun is down. So there was 2 panels down at the lower end in the middle, I would say like toward the wall in about the center, that were like a darker green, showing that they had less production. And then there was 1 panel that was on the edge. And so I called Yellow Light, which is the company, and told them, and they can also look at them remotely. So they looked at them and they said, well, you know, let's just monitor them. But because we knew that they had thrown rocks there, we went ahead and bought a ladder, and then I'm not exactly that nimble to climb up there, but I had one of my children climb up there and take pictures, and there was rock damage.
okay. Okay, let's, Mr. Schultz, from your perspective, and the date that she's describing to me that you came in and said, first of all, dog was trying to get in the coop.
Right?
How do you, I gotta slow you down for my sake. Tell me how do you know it was their dog? How do you know it was the same dog?
They're the only one that has a husky in the neighborhood,
Okay,
and it was like casing their coop.
okay,
And then I chased it off the coop, and then when it got back up by our front yard, that's when it started growling at me, and it put its hair up. And then I just grabbed my gun and I shot it in the face, and then it went scouring back to their house.
okay,
Then their son was there, and he was yelling, saying, "You shot my fucking dog!" And then that he wanted me to meet him in the road and fight. And then all of a sudden we got rocks appearing over the fence. They're throwing them in our yard.
now,
And
okay, slow down right there for me. Okay, so
Okay.
so you dog growled at you and you shot it. You said you shot it in the face, and you mentioned with a vermin gun of some sort. What?
Yeah, like a 12 gauge, like a bird shot.
Gotcha. Okay, so you shot at the dog, and then what happened right at that point after the dog?
The dog went back over there. Nina screamed that I shot their dog or her daughter or someone. And
Who said who was screaming?
Nina and her daughter. And then Dwayne was there, and Dwayne was screaming at me, meet in the road.
Okay,
And then so I go back in the shop and think nothing of it. And then that's when I hear the rocks pounding on the side of the shop. And I come out the front door and see Dwayne standing at the fence line throwing the rocks. He's the one who broke the solar panels.
okay, let's stop right there. Where did you see him from? Where were you at?
The fence line where their property fence and our wire fence starts, he was standing right at that line, throwing them right at the shop.
Okay. You could actually see some
I
projectile.
could see Dwayne, it's their kid. I could see him clear as day.
Okay. You could see him throwing something up on the roof.
Throwing rocks, because the rocks are laying on the ground, and then
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. How do you know they were rocks?
because they were just laying on the ground, you could see they were round rocks.
Okay, how big were the rocks? About,
I don't know, like say like softball size,
okay,
some baseball size. There was a bunch out there laying in the driveway too.
okay. Then what happened? Anything?
Then I went back in the house and called the cops and let them know that and then the officer or the woman, the dispatcher said they're already on their way. the cops are to the location. I said, I just wanted to make a note of it that I seen them throwing rocks at my shop and at the solar panels on the roof.
And you said it was Dwayne Benson. And you said it was her son?
Yeah. Yes, that's what he is, I
As
guess.
far as you know.
One of their sons. I don't know the relationship, but I know that's who it
Yeah.
was.
Okay. How old was that young man? About
I don't know, probably, I'd say like close to our kids' age, like 19, say, 18. I
Oh,
don't
in
know.
his, okay.
I don't physically know, like that. So
Yeah. Okay.
I just know who he
Have you
is.
seen him- Have you seen him around there before? It's like,
Yeah. And our other neighbor has a ton of issues with that same kid. So
okay. All right. So you saw him throwing the rocks up on the roof panel. And
mhm.
this was immediately the same, like immediately after you had shot at their dog?
That is correct.
Okay. Mr. Schultz, anything else besides now that you got the threats going on? I don't need to get into all that, I don't think, but
Okay.
anything else related to the solar panels?
No, nothing related to the solar panels
Okay.
other than that.
When did the police come out? Was it directly within the hour or what?
Yes, they actually showed up like 6 officers, like somebody had, I was like, wow, that's a lot of people.
Okay, all right. All right. Miss Benson, anything you can tell me about that particular part of the incident? Talking about your dog.
Yes.
He says
So,
dog, was that true? Did your dog come back hurt?
yes, well, actually, from my perspective, I had just walked out of the house and realized that I couldn't see Kenny. And it's like seconds later, I heard a gunshot go off real loud.
Okay,
And I immediately heard some yelping and had an intuition that that's probably what had just happened was my dog, went over there and Joe obviously was mad and shot her. So
well, now how
I
did,
didn't know
no,
what
no,
kind of gun
I'm
that
sorry,
was, sir.
hold on, right there. So you heard a gunshot,
Mhm.
correct? You heard a dog, there was some kind of yelping, right?
Oh yeah.
You're in the house at this
No,
point?
I was outside.
Oh, you were outside, okay.
Yeah.
What made you think your dog was over there?
I didn't see her in the fence that we have right here on the back deck. We have a fence that goes around, and she somehow got out. The back end of it is what we discovered later on.
I see,
It was kind of like bent down, and she must have jumped that. We since then have repaired it, but that's how we figured the dog got out that day. And it was pretty much immediate, seconds after I heard the shot that I seen her coming around the
okay,
fence. And she was all bloody. She was all, lethargic. She's our family dog. We've had her for 3 years. She actually has visited the nursing home that my husband works at. I used to work there too,
Mhm.
as a therapy dog. So, she's not just, a stray dog to us. She's our family dog.
Sure,
So, me and my younger son actually were home. My younger son is 11,
Mhm.
and we were very traumatized by that situation. We didn't know what kind of bullets, he shot at her, or if it was a lethal injury or what. So we actually immediately got her inside of the house and stayed there, locked the doors, because we were scared. The angry guy next door has a gun.
yeah,
I don't have a gun,
sure,
so I was worried. And my husband was actually at the store at the time, so it was just me and my son. And
okay.
so we stayed inside, and we were told to lock the doors, and we waited until the police came and he got home from the store. So that's basically what happened.
And I'm sorry, you said 11-year-old son. Is this Dwayne? Is this your son's name?
No, his name is Hanklin.
Oh, I'm sorry, what is it?
Hanklin. My youngest son's name is Hanklin.
Okay.
My oldest son was not here. He does not live here either.
Oldest not there. What was when I guess you said Hanklin was the only son there at the time?
Yes.
What was he wearing? Do you remember?
I don't remember what he was wearing now.
Yeah. Coat, short sleeve shirt, jeans. Can you tell me
I
anything?
mean, this was last summer, so I'm assuming he might have been wearing shorts and a t-shirt, but I honestly, I don't remember what he was wearing. He was inside the whole time with me.
Okay. All right. What's your dog's name? I hate to. I fond of dogs anyways, but what's your dog's name? I got a name for the
Her
dog.
name is actually Kenny G.
Oh, that's what you said, Kenny. Okay.
Yeah,
That's the dog. Okay.
yes. Kenny G.
All right. So you got Kenny G inside the house. Was Kenny G hurt? She hurt or not?
She actually was. I actually took her to the vet the very next day, and she had to get a bunch of different shots, and she didn't have to get any stitches, but it was a bird shot, so there was pieces of the bird shot pellets were in her face, and she was lucky she didn't lose her eye, but the vet bill was about $429 that I had to cough up right then and there the next day.
Sure.
Just to keep her alive. So
Yeah.
there was that.
Okay.
So I mean, we're really just asking for this whole thing to be dismissed because we don't agree with any of these allegations.
I understand you don't agree with them, but what they're alleging are the biggest things, the solar panels.
Absolutely.
So,
I understand. I understand.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Mr. Benson, what
Yes.
did you want to?
I had some time to think about what may have happened to their solar panels. Because when I got home from the store, I came inside because I got a phone call on the way home. I came inside and my wife and son were in the house with the dog, and that's where we stayed until the police got there. At their house in his shop, there's all kinds of revving engines and spinning tires and rock spitting. I don't know how they don't think that it came from their own driveway, spinning tires and things like this. I don't know where they're coming from. The only thing I can think of is that they're spitting rocks at their own barn.
Okay.
What about they have a lot of things that they drive around in the trails out back and up front next to the house and things like this, and they go fast, and that's the only thing I could think of.
Okay. So after your dog comes in, though, you're apparently at home too. Is that right? After Kenny G comes home yelping, is that right?
I was at the store when I got there. When I got to the house, my wife and my son were inside with the dog.
Okay.
And the dog was leaving.
Okay. So then there's some other allegations that says that apparently there was some arguing between you and your neighbors. Is that?
No, sir, I wasn't. No, we stayed inside until the police got here. I was not arguing with anybody at all.
Okay. Nobody came out and wanted to go out in the roadway and fight or anything like that?
No.
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Okay.
I was afraid because he just shot my dog. I mean, normally I've had stray dogs come in my yard, honestly, and actually there is other huskies that live in the neighborhood. We just 2 doors down, we've got 2 Australian Shepherd mixed huskies from just 2 doors down.
Yeah.
And there's huskies in the area. There really is.
Well, it
But we were afraid, sir. Honestly, we were very afraid at the time. when it happened, we were not going back outside to face anybody. That's just, you know, that's the way I work. I'm not gonna go outside and argue with somebody with a gun. That would be crazy to me. So we definitely we were inside.
Okay.
Because we thought our dog was bleeding out. Like I didn't know what type of bullets those were. You know, it was just very scary for us. So we were waiting for the police.
And I guess your other son, your older son, is he about in his late teens? Is that right?
He's 20 now.
Right, okay, somewhere around in there. I'm sorry, just so I got a name for him. What's his first name?
His name is Dwayne.
Oh, that is Dwayne. Okay. And does he live at your house then?
No, he has not lived here for over 2 years now. He has a 2-year-old daughter and a fiance. They live together.
Okay. When the incident with Kenny G happened, was he living at home then?
No.
Does he come in? Where does he live? I guess normally.
He lives on State Street in Otisville.
Okay, so all right. Oh, down in Otisville?
Yes.
How often does he come home at all?
He comes to visit probably every couple weeks. He's really busy with work and college right now.
Okay. Mr. Schultz, I guess we got to kind of figure out what's going on. Then you said first of all that somebody had gotten out that was threatening you to fight. I guess when was that?
That was the same day. That was Dwayne. He was there at their house that day. It's clear as day, right in the police report. He was on there too.
The police interviewed
The
them
police
all.
interviewed them all, Dwayne and Daisy.
Let's just see here.
And Dwayne did not know that Chris didn't replace our chickens when in the previous reports he said he was going to replace them.
Mr. Schultz, I don't see anything in this report that says you pointed out who's throwing rocks.
It doesn't say that Dwayne was there during the.
No.
Okay.
Why would you tell me that if you didn't tell the officer that?
Really? Okay.
Well, no, yeah, okay, all right. And Ms. Benson, from your side, you're telling me that your son Dwayne was not there at this time period. Is that right?
Right.
The only son that you had there at the time was what's your other son's name? It's Hanklin?
Yeah.
At the time he was 11, right?
Yeah. 11.
He's the only son that was there during this part of the incident, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did the police come over and talk to you as well? I guess when it sounds like one of you called the police when your dog had been.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Did they ask about somebody throwing rocks?
No, I don't recall that.
Okay.
They did come inside to look at our dog though.
That's
Okay. But they didn't ask about rock throwing or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And then it sounds, and again, I take testimony from you, but is your son there with you right now or not?
No, he's at school.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought.
Did you see?
This Lambert, anything else you want to tell me?
As far as the solar panels go?
Yep, the solar panels or anything else, the chickens, anything else. I think from what I see, I think I've covered everything. Anything I missed?
It's just been a constant over the years, and it keeps progressively getting
Yeah,
to be more and more and more of an issue. And even, I mean, everything's pretty clear, I think, in the police report and from what the, you know, from the pictures and everything. We don't have trees, we don't have anything by there to say what happened. There, it was very clear what happened. It's clear cut. I don't understand why they're even.
tell me the clarity with the rock throwing. I guess that's the thing. I don't see, unless I'm missing something, I don't see anything that says anybody saw, other than broad general rocks were being thrown. Doesn't say who was throwing rocks, doesn't say anything. Am I missing something?
I believe in the police report it says either their children or their sons. There's a lot of redactions on there.
Yeah,
There's a lot redacted because I requested it.
yeah, sure.
And so I'm sure that there's pieces that I can't see, and that if you're looking at my copy that you can't see either.
Yeah.
But it was clear in the report who was throwing the rocks.
Yeah.
And that it came from their property. And they're the property owners.
Okay. I'll look at it as close as I can, but I just don't, I see broad generalization on a lot of things. Were there other, I guess, Miss Benson or Mr. Benson? I guess Mr. Benson, you weren't there this day, but were there other children there with your son at all?
No. It's just my wife and my son when I got home from the store in the house with the dog cleaning up the blood.
Ms. Benson, is that accurate? Was there
Yes.
no friends over, that kind of thing? You know, I'm just asking,
No.
you know, like, okay. Okay, all right, I'll take a brief recess off the monitor, just, I'll be right back on just a minute, okay?
Okay.
All right, we can go back on. If you want to unmute, you can, doesn't really. I just kept you muted just so we didn't run into issues with everybody. There we go. I have had a chance to review my notes regarding testimony, and I normally don't look at a police incident report, but given the conflicting testimony with regard to the solar panels, I did review it in its entirety. It is generalized, that it doesn't say name anybody specifically. Today, Joseph Schultz pointed out it was a 19-year-old son that's at the Benson's home. It's their older son, apparently doesn't live there anymore, if he did it at the time even, but it sounds like he was not there. Given the totality of the testimony, he did not mention a person in the police report other than general terms that rocks were being thrown by people over on the Benson side. Given the totality of all the testimony, it's not been proven enough to give damages for the solar panels, and giving damages for the chickens that were killed in the original alleged incident part of it. $100 for the chickens. Court costs $148 for a total of $248. Okay. Judgment for plaintiff in that amount. The rest of it's all dismissed. Okay. Good luck to everybody. Yeah, boy, just stay on your own sides, I guess, for what I can tell you. Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Good luck to
Thank you.
everybody. All right.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
That's terrible.
You're involved in a dispute with another party such as this, and you just can't seem to work it out. Don't resort to taking the law in your own hands.
We'll hear the litigants' reaction.